Hello everyone, we are from Syndicate 7 who would like to present scenario planning at PT Aneka Tambang. Our syndicate consists of myself, Hopi Adiputra, Wahyu Wijanarko, Fiona Disati Sebayang, Jordan Suharto, and Bonnie Reinhardt. First of all, we would like to explain the workflow, started with the company background, key focal issue, driving force, critical uncertainty, scenario framework, scenario narrative, early warning sign, implication and option, and last but not least, the integration. Antam was incorporated in 5 July 1968 with three major commodities in bauxite, gold, and nickel. For bauxite, Antam produced alumina, while for the gold, Antam produced fine gold, and for the nickel, Antam produced fernickel. In this slide, we can see that D is the alumina, B is the fernickel, and C is the fine gold. In 2017, the ownership of the B series majority shareholding transferred to PT Inalum and later on formed the holding company MindID. Antam has a vision in 2030 to become a leading global corporation through diversification and integrated natural resource-based business. In this slide, we can see Antam sales performance and resource and reserve data. In sales destination, we can see Antam changed their destination gradually from dominant in export in 2019 become dominant in domestic market in 2021. There are several issues that cause this changing. For example, pandemic COVID-19 and nickel ore ban from the government. From the sales competition, we can see that gold is dominating the sales instead of bauxite and nickel. But in terms of reserve and research, gold is minor instead of the commodity. It indicates that Antam did not fully maximize their potential, especially in nickel commodity, due to the size of research they had.
Our syndicate defined the key focal issue with a very simple question. How does Antam lead as a green upstream company in EV ecosystem in Indonesia within 10 years from now? The first diagram on the top left shows the increasing demand of the lithium-ion battery for EV, approximately 7 times growth in 2030 compared to 2020. While the diagram on the bottom left illustrates the nickel-manganese-cobalt oxides dominates the share in lithium-ion battery technology. So what is the implication of this true in Indonesia? Indonesia has the largest nickel reserves in the world, making Indonesia has a huge advantage to become a market leader in EV battery. Let's focus on Antam. Antam is an Indonesian mining company that operates its business for 10% of total national nickel resources. This means that Antam has the opportunity to take big roles in the EV ecosystem in Indonesia. Antam collaborates with Pertamina and PLN, build Indonesian Holding Battery Company, IBC, with the purpose of developing the domestic EV ecosystem for the short-term plan and entering the international ecosystem for the long-term plan. From the chart above, Antam will focus its businesses in the upstream area with the mining and extraction process as the bottom line of the businesses.
After we define our key focal issue, now it's time for us to make a list of the driving forces that might influence our focal issues. So in here, we see the schematic diagram about the overlapping relationship between the contextual, transactional, and organic sections. In here, I would like to discuss about the contextual first, this is the biggest section. So the first factor will be the government policy and also the support from the grid law enforcement, and followed by the rapid EV technology growth, and of course the last, it will be the global political and economic situation. And for the middle section, when we discuss the transactional, we define also there are 4 factors. The first factor is of course about the domestic demand, which is created also from the state-owned company. And then followed by the commodity price coming from the competitor. And then the next will be the integrated EV technology provider. And then the last, of course, the international trade factor. And for the last, which is the smallest section, we are seeing that there are factors of the strategic planning that will determine the company itself in the future, followed by the operational capability, and then the business development capability, and then of course the last will be the leadership capability. After we define the factor, in here we are trying to score all factors based on the impact and also the uncertainty. And after we are seeing equally, so there are 2 factors that giving the impact for the scenario itself. So we found the integrated EV battery technology provider and government policy will bring the level uncertainty high. And after we define those 2 factors, so we create our scenario. And in here, as you can see, the government policy will be put in X axis, and the presence of the battery technology provider will be demonstrated in the Y axis. And from this factor, we define there are 4 quadrants. So the first quadrant is, we name it the chaotic competition. The second quadrant, we name it the stargazer. The third quadrant, we name it as the doomsday galaxy. And for the fourth quadrant will be the survivor.
For the chaotic competition narratives, we can divide into 4. The prone to market failure and oligopoly. Market failure is an inability of the provider to deliver goods or services to customer in efficient manner because unrestricted competition cannot be sustained in the industry. Where there is loose regulation, when a single entity or 2 can supply the entire market with less cost, can dominate the market. The accelerated of innovation due to loose regulation. No restriction creates a free environment for industry players, research institutions to innovate and improve the technology. Hence, many innovation comes to the market as the consequence. Volatile market price, where there is loose regulation or policy that mandatory to comply, provider can play with the product price. Overexploited resources. Parallel with accelerated innovation, the resources, in this case is nickel, can be overexploited due to the demand of research and development for innovation.
The third quadrant represents the doomsday galaxy situation. The condition is loss of government regulation and less integrated EV battery technology providers. In this situation, the government is reluctant to support any institution to conduct research and development EV battery technology. The budget for this sector is quite small, as indicated by at least providing incentives. Industrial activities will be less progressive and tend to run the business as usual. Due to loss of regulation, there is no compulsion to use the latest eco-friendly technology. And finally, deteriorating environmental impact is unavoidable.
Okay, for the quadrant of survivor, in here the company will prone to utilize the existing green technology. So there will be a slower innovation and impact to the incremental growth, which is the incremental will get slower. And the last, the improvement culture within the company will getting lesser and lesser by the time.
Okay, now we are looking into the stargazer. When you are having a lot of provider and your market is highly regulated, you tend to be first having a prone to disruptive innovation because you see there's a lot of incumbent and new people want to coming in, they will try to find something very really innovative way it works. Second, sustainability related tech will become more common because the regulation will make you stay in line. Third, it tends to be monopolized by large incumbent that already there in the first place. Fourth, the small profit margin, because when there's a lot of provider, regulation is high, people will tend to get more customer by lowering their price. Therefore, smaller profit margin.
What is the early warning sign for the chaotic competition? First is unstable market supply and market price. High acceleration of innovation and technology and overexploited resources are two factors that can impact on the market supply and price. Oligopoly market. Market dominates by a small numbers of suppliers. Damaged environment. In the chaotic competition, overexploited nickel resources, damaged environment cannot be avoided. And red alert country in the eye of the world. As a consequence, a damaged environment, huge CO2 emitted due to natural resources exploitation, Indonesia can be addressed as a country which contributes the most to the global environmental issue.
The third quadrant is Doomsday Galaxy situation. We could identify by hesitation to innovate the new EV battery technology because there is no strict environmental rule from the government. Second, high barrier for new provider entry to the market because monopoly market situation. Impact of monopoly market, then expensive new technology investment due to limited provider. And the last, the world condition impact to the stagnancy of market price and volume as well.
So the early warning sign for the quadrant survivor, we discussed there will be a higher capital of investment in the upstream of EV ecosystem. The implementation of green policy also will be stagnant, and when the new advanced battery technology appear, of course, the current technology will be obsolete soon.
There's going to be some early warning signs in the stargazer phase. First is going to be a lot of appearance of companies that offer innovative products or disruptive innovation. Second is going to be more than half of the company offering the same innovation due to the high regulated market, and well, they tend to stay in the line. Third is going to one or two companies dominating more than 75% of the market. Third is going to be the price wars that occurs and led to the bankruptcy of the lesser companies. This is quite common when you see the similar business in where there's a lot of provider and there's going to be a lot of regulation there.
The implication we can see and also to Antam. Raw material scarcity due to overexploitation of nickel. Antam market share can be gradually decreased. Low profitability due to volatile market price. High turnover employment. This is one of the consequences because rapid innovation requires a lot of manpower. Although this is a good indicator of high employment rate, but the high turnover employment in a company cannot be avoided. So, Antam can focus on options, focus on exploration of the new mining sites, implemented green technology in the new sites, and also considering expansion to the market internationally.
The third quadrant is Doomsday Galaxy scenario, in which the integrated EV battery technology provider is less and the government policy regulation is loose. The implications are less regulation to push companies to utilize eco-friendly technology. Second, the consequences of limitation on advanced technology will increase production costs. On the other hand, the options that PT Antam should take it out are: first, monitoring and controlling the environmental impact of production activity. And the last one, improve the efficiency of existing technology by leveraging an innovation culture.
For the quadrant of survivor, the implication that we see, it will be the lower profitability due to the cost dependency of the existing technology. The second, it will be lowering the local innovation in adapting the greener technology. And the last, of course, there will be no people development. And the option that we can see from the quadrant of survivor, so the first, the company should increase the productivity of the current technology. And the last, there will be a policy to explore the new attractive business in the future.
When we are looking to the implication and the option when we are in the stargazer part, first, lower profitability due to the number of providers with similar service, and limited innovation between companies and higher employment rate. Those are the implications when you are in the stargazer. But when you are here, you still have some option. First option is to pursue the innovative disruption. Second is the clustering provider based on their tech efficacy. Third, building center of excellence for sustainable technology. It's going to help you in the long run.
In this slide, we will explain about the integration. In the chaotic situation with the many providers and loose regulation, which explained before, we can see the integration started with driving force that involve high technology investment, high investment, and damaging environment. Then the key actors consist of industry player, research institution, investor, and customer. In the dominant operation mode, company which had the situation in the chaotic competition tend to have managerial flexibility mix, spontaneous strategy, and organic organization design. Chaotic competition has early warning signs such as unstable market supply and price, oligopoly industry player, and damaged environment. The implication to user are difficulty in inviting foreign investor to Indonesia due to the environmental declines by Indonesia government and decreased local market share. For the company that had situation in the chaotic competition, we offered some options such as prepare business strategy that focus on the environment impact to sell to the international market or unique selling point.
The third scenario is Doomsday of the Galaxy on the bottom left quadrant. The situation shows a very sluggish growth and pretty much business as usual. The government doesn't want to move toward creating policies that support the research and development of integrated EV battery technology, while at the same time, the technology providers slowly growing because of low demand. In this situation, the loss of supportive government policy is not helping to stimulate the progress of technological invention. So, the key driving factors are a low concern from the government and technology provider. The key actor is mostly from the internal side. There are companies, management, and employee sale. The dominant operation mode is business as usual, and then in a hesitation situation, we need to stay vigilant in case of any sudden change in government policy and political situation. We could identify early warning signs. There are stagnancy business situation and when monopoly industry player and emerge. The implication to PT Antam are inefficient production costs and impact to reluctant adopt eco-friendly technology. The option for this situation to pursue an efficient production process while maintaining environmental sustainability through strict monitoring.
Looking into the integration in Stargazer page, we can see first is the key driving factors is going to be higher competitiveness and uniform innovation. The key actors will be three. First is the government, they are the one who make the regulation. Second, the companies, and of course the customers. And for the dominant operations mode in this phase is first is encouraging disruptive innovation because you want to break the status quo. Second is low cost competition business model. If you cannot make some disruptive innovation by products or by technology, maybe you can provide innovation by providing the service. And low cost competition business model is actually part of a service. And of course, there's going to be a lot of low profit margin business model. For the early warning signs, you can see there's going to be monopolistic market with limited innovation. And it's going to give some implication to the users. First is lower cost of implementation, the ease of supply chain diversification, and it left us with some options. First is to pursue the innovative disruption, clustering provider based on the tech efficacy, and the last one is to build a center of excellence on sustainable technology.
The integration for Survivor. The key driving factors in Survivor is low competition between technology provider and high concern from government, where the key actors is government, R&D institution, investor or technology provider, and also customer. Where the dominant operation modes is collaboration and also innovation. Also, the early warning sign is the further implementation of green policies getting slow, capital investment remain constant and higher, while the implication to Antam is it has to mutual collaboration in developing new green technology. So the option is whether it's product innovation or engage in the new blue ocean market.
Okay, this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.